What's up? What's going on? Hide and Read here with your monthly wrap up for April 2026. All the books I read. So, well, all the books I finished. Kind of. James Michener, Alaska, which I'm slowly plodding through. It's like a 1,000-page historical epic, very readable. Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it, and maybe taking a little bit too much time. I actually already finished for this month, like the chapter. Like I'm kind of dedicated to reading one chapter a month. They're like over 100 pages each chapter, but I think this month I'll read two. I just kind of want to, 2 or 3 maybe. I want to push it along a little bit. One, because I'm enjoying it. I don't want it to get stale. And 2, there's more historical, kind of like epic length historical fictions I want to read. So, but yeah, good month of reading in Alaska. We exchanged hands from the Russian government to the American government, and lots of chaos kind of ensued in the mix. The American government's not really applying any sort of law to this kind of wilderness zone that they've bought from the Russians, and I'm sure we'll dive a little bit deeper in the history of it once I finish. I've also, in a similar manner, been reading Daphne Du'maurier, Don't Look Now. It's a collection of her short fictions and short stories. This month, at the end of the month, I was like, let me just get something extra in. So I read, I think it was like a 50-page short story, Blue Lenses, which was really cool. It reminded me a lot of a Twilight Zone episode. I didn't check. It might be like a Twilight Zone or like kind of one of those kind of knockoff type series. It might actually be one. I'm just not sure. I should check. But yeah, Blue Lenses, I believe was the name of it. Probably the best one I've read so far. They're all pretty good. Her stories are not, it's definitely not horror. They're very suspenseful, but like in a creepy way. And there's always some kind of like supernatural twist towards the end. And you're not really sure while you're reading it. Is the character crazy? Are they like imagining things? Or have they like entered some kind of like liminal zone? So yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I think I got like maybe 2 more stories in here. Maybe I'll polish this off and we'll talk about it more in a future video. But yeah, enjoying her books. I also have quite a few of her novels, so I don't see why we wouldn't get around to reading them sooner than later. Really enjoying Daphne Du'maurier.
The era of work. I mean, there's your short stories, for instance,
you can't call them romantic.
Which are horrific.
Well, they are rather, yes. That's another nasty side to me, isn't it?
Tell me about those. What brings those about? I'm thinking right.
And her interviews are pretty cool too. She's like a kind of a sassy lady. A sassy cigarette-smoking lady. So, lots of fun. Dr. Faustus, Christopher Marlowe. I think this is the first thing I read for the month. This is awesome. Christopher Marlowe, he died tragically as like the victim of some stab wounds. Nobody's really sure what exactly happened. All the people that witnessed his murder were kind of in on it. So it's kind of one of those things we just will never figure out. But yeah, he died tragically at a young age, and but he wrote this really cool play, Dr. Faustus, where Dr. Faustus is the main character. He sells his soul to the devil for like I think it's like a 33-year contract.
Made a deal, you stupid son of a bitch. You made a deal with Malbolgia. You cut a deal for your soul.
And at the end of this contract, he has to completely like commit all of his being to the devil. And he does this by working through this emissary that he summons named Mephistopheles. And Mephistopheles, he's like the messenger for Faustus, Dr. Faustus and the devil. It's really cool. The most of it has to do with redemption, and the possibility of redemption is kind of like one of the main themes. But also there's this kind of just like a lot of just like lighthearted scenes. It's written in Old English. He's a contemporary of Shakespeare. I believe they were born the same year. And yeah, so it has really nice English in it that's going to like take you, some time to, translate into your contemporary mind. But it's always nice reading something that's like classic and in your native language, because translations are not the original work. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of cool Latin, and it's a play, so reading it out loud, or at least slow enough that you can like vocalize in your mind what you're reading, is definitely preferred. But at the same time, he's like summoning the devil and stuff. And you're like, am I kind of like secondhand summoning a demon or something here? So it was fun. It was a good one to read. I learned a lot of cool Latin phrases. So maybe we'll dip our toes into learning a little bit of Latin. I'm in a different housing now. I'm very far away. I had to drive 10 hours. So I no longer have my Punjabi teacher. So considering maybe Latin, I think I can probably teach myself quite a bit, at least for the summer. And then maybe step back to Greek or something. We'll see. I still want to explore languages. I have like this goal of reading some books that are in foreign languages in the native. I think that would be it'd be an accomplishment for me. So yeah, Dr. Faustus, really enjoyed that. Kind of creepy. This was kind of creepy too. A lot of creepy stuff here, huh? It's like mayhem or something. Was it horror and mayhem? So maybe I got to keep this up a little bit, and we could do a video and join in with the rest of BookTube. But yeah, Louis L'Amour, Haunted Mesa. It's more supernatural, kind of suspense, maybe thriller even. This is not a typical Louis L'Amour book in the sense that it's contemporary. He's kind of like a supernatural investigator. He mostly ends up being a skeptic. He's a writer, not because he's like ideologically a skeptic, but when he goes and investigates and finds the truth of the matter, a lot of times there's like an actual kind of explanation, like at the end of a Scooby-Doo kind of episode. But sometimes he did experience some truthfully supernatural, unexplainable events. And there's a man that he met. He doesn't actually have any like friends that like how you would consider like somebody to be a friend, but he has lots of acquaintances and people like trust him because he's a truthful man, the main character. And so one of his friends is in a bit of trouble. He bought a piece of property in the Southwest on top of a mesa, and he had plans of living out there. But while he was building his house, he found some ruins, and it turns out these ruins are a kind of like a gateway into a different world, and people are coming, are getting trapped inside of this gateway, and some people are able to pass back and forth. You don't really know who's who, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of questions in this book. Louis L'Amour asks a lot of like open-ended questions that leaves the reader to kind of think. Times 10 in this one. I was actually surprised how many question marks are in this book. It's probably more question marks per page than anything I've ever read. But it was a lot of fun. There's a big Tibetan Mastiff named Chief. Yeah. Haunted Mesa. Louis L'Amour. I was looking forward to reading this one. It was a lot of fun. I read it at night, and sometimes I read it in the cemetery. Sometimes I read it outside at night, and it was sufficiently creepy. So check it out. Frank Morgan, Last Gunfighter, William W. Johnstone. This is like a collection of this Frank Morgan series, The Last Gunfighter. You can pick these up at Ollie's. It's a pretty good deal. Nice big type. And the first book in this series is Last Gunfighter Reprisal, which I believe is the second book in the series. I could be mistaken, but they do a good job not letting you know that the first book is not included in here. I think it's just 2, 3, and 4. Don't really understand the logic behind that, but there must be some kind of reason. But yeah, it looks like they're releasing a lot of the William Johnstone stuff in these collections, so not a bad time to get yourself acquainted. I enjoyed the story. What I was most surprised by, this was the first actual William Johnstone book that I read, and his ghostwriters, because there's got to be a bunch of them, I don't think it's just 1 or 2 people, do a really good job of replicating his stories, because oddly enough, I've read stuff from the Johnstone brand, but never an actual William W. Johnstone book. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Lots of action. Frank Morgan kills more people than the gunsmith beds down ladies. It's like absolutely absurd. At this rate, there won't be anybody left in the West. But that's the story. It was fun again. There's a dog in this one too, and this one's name is Dog, which I just love. William Johnstone does a great name with a great job with names, in my opinion. So I really enjoyed this book. The main character, Frank Morgan, his son is a strange son. He's been kidnapped by this gang of bandits, and Frank Morgan has to chase them down. He's kind of like a lone man kind of deal. He's like a big deal in the West. Like people, he's like featured in dime novels and stuff, so that people like know who he is by his reputation, and his abilities even supersede his reputation. And he's an aging gunfighter at this point, so people are starting to doubt his abilities, but he's as sharp as ever. He really doesn't miss. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A couple characters from different Johnstone novels that I read made an appearance, not just like in aside mentions, but actual characters playing parts in the plot. So that was a lot of fun, just like a little continuity between the books. So if you like big big connected universes and stuff, maybe check out the Johnstone brand. It's full of them. And I just thought I'd mention too, so this is book 2, not book 1 in the series, and I don't feel like I didn't really miss out on anything. I'm gonna read book 1 once I get my hands on it, but it was perfectly fine to read book 2 before I read book 1, and I'll probably read 3 and 4 before I read 1. Not a big deal. Last but not least, I had a lot of fun with this one. Hold on to your hats here. Neil Gaiman and Yoshitaka Amano, The Sandman. So I was leaving my hometown. This is the Dream Hunters. As I was leaving my hometown, I was like, I got it. I was purging lots of books. And so I was often in the used bookstore. I had like $150 of store credit or something. I was like, well, if there's something in there, I'm going to get it. And I was just really surprised that this book was in there. And why I was excited, I've never read any Neil Gaiman, and he's kind of like been blacklisted recently because of his deviances. But Yoshitako Amano, he's the illustrator for this series that I'm a big fan of, and I haven't read enough of, admittedly, Vampire Hunter D. He just does these like really, really cool illustrations. It's kind of like Art Deco mixed with like traditional like Japanese woodblock. They're like kind of crude and ethereal at the same time. I just find it's some of the best artwork. You might have seen some of his artwork in, if you're familiar with the Final Fantasy video game series, or one of the more recent Magic the Gathering sets has some of his artwork in it. But every now and then I come across his stuff. But yeah, I'm a big fan. And so I was like, oh, I'll just give this a shot. Of course, I've heard of Sandman, the series, but I never read it. It's a comic book series. I'm not that into Western comics, to be completely honest. But this was based on, it has more to do with a Japanese folktale. And in it, a fox and a badger are kind of plotting to oust a young monk from a temple so that they can live inside the temple undisturbed. And so they like try to play tricks on him and stuff, but it doesn't work. And the young monk ends up saving the fox's life, who ends up being like this kind of female entity, and she falls in love with the monk. And because she's a fox, they don't really have any kind of future together. But she ends up saving his life in a certain way, kind of at the cost of her own, and he also returns the favor. It's actually a very beautiful story. I sat down in the public library. It's kind of like visiting all my favorite haunts the week before I left. Yeah, it took me maybe an hour and a half to read it. You know, take time to look at the illustrations, everything, but it was excellent. I was really impressed. Yeah, Neil Gaiman is a good writer, at least in this book. Not one issue with me. I don't know if I'll go and read his other stuff, not because, quite frankly, I don't really care about the drama involved, you know, especially when it has to do with consenting adults. I'm not, you know, with all the evil stuff going on, it's like on the least on my list of things bothering me right now. But I'm just not that interested, but definitely I've opened my mind a little bit. Maybe I would be interested in reading something by him, or maybe just, you know, the really nice artwork. Maybe that was doing a lot of the lifting. I don't know. Or maybe I was in a good mood. But that's what I read for the month of, what did I say? May? March, April? It wasn't May, it was April. I barely know where I am at this point, so in time or space. But got a good start on this month already reading, and yeah, until next time, find somewhere to read. Find something to read. Find somewhere to hide. I think that's what we say here. Find somewhere to hide. Find something to read. Peace.